You don't have to go to school to become somebody. You're already somebody. You go to school to learn because it'll get you a job or help you with your career. Well, hey guys, got some really good questions here. And this person writes, "Hey Casey, before you read the rest of this email and learning anything about me, I want you to answer this question. If you could go back to 18 with the knowledge you have now, what would you do differently? What would you do the same and why?" All right, man. Well, let me answer that before we get driving. So, 3 tiers of that when you go back to 18. When I was 18 years old, I just graduated high school. I was about to go to Ohio State University to go to college. So the first answer to that should always be you play the stock market and invest in the things that you know are going to go way up. But that's not very sporting for the sake of this. So let's take it down to 2 tiers that are a little more sporting and all around. You know, when I look back at my career, there's only 2 things that I can remember that I wish I would have done. And one of those was I had been part of the Formula SAE team at Ohio State for a number of years. And it was like I think a lot of Formula SAE teams are. There's no real guidance, no real mentorship. Can you see why I did Genius Garage? To do much better? You know, people with tenure that don't care about the students, and it's just a bunch of students running around like idiots trying to make something and arguing all the time. Anyway, by the 3rd year, it was really a mess, and I probably should have left it after the 1st or 2nd year, but I didn't. I stuck it out more. And the thing that bugged me was when I was actually taking fencing, you know, sword fighting, that martial art, and I was doing really well at it. And the teacher I had at the time at Ohio State told me I should try out for the team. He thought I could walk on to varsity. And I think there's a pretty good chance of that, and even if I didn't, I should be able to get really good quickly. Anyway, I remember my senior year, and the Formula SAE team was just a total mess, and I'd actually quit. And I was standing at a bus stop alone in the winter, freezing to death in the middle of a parking lot, and I looked down at the school newspaper, and it said that the men's fencing team were national champions. I was like, crap. But I think to answer your question even a little better, what would I do differently at 18 years old? You know, the thing that was helpful, but at the same time held me back, were my parents. They didn't really know anything about academia or business or majors or where to go. They just wanted me to go to college. And they both majored in fine arts in the 1970s. I mean, it's not going to be that helpful. My major, I went into industrial design, which is transportation design initially. Got into that. It's very hard to get into Ohio State. They only accept like 16 people a year. But the program ended up being garbage. It was absolute garbage. In the first year and a half of the product design, I had done more and better projects in high school. And I ended up dropping out of that, and I ended up designing my own major at Ohio State, which also ended up being crap. Like, I got loads of great classes and all that were helpful, but because it's not a major that people understand, it wasn't helpful in the career path or the career field. So I started to find a lot of issues with the educational system and where that goes, and how difficult it is when you don't have the right mentor or the right inspiration what to do. So if I had gone back with that knowledge and the knowledge I have now, or like me as a mentor to me back then, I would say, okay, you're either going to go into mechanical engineering because you can use that across the board and there are actual jobs there. And if you want to later, go get a master's of business. Or since you've already started a business, which I did, designing parts, prototype parts for cars and such and marketing it, I should have just stayed out of school for a while and really focused on that. Or gone into school and then focused on that afterward. But it was just frustrating because I didn't have the right direction. So let's go on to the rest of this and drive this Ferrari. Okay, thanks for replying to my comment, he writes. I had a few questions for you and would love to hear your response. My name is TJ Hull. I am 18 years old and have a YouTube channel with 91,000 subscribers. Give me a shout out, man. I post a lot of gaming videos, but when I'm not doing that, I'm doing anything and everything related to cars. I'm not planning on going to college, and I'm really having a hard time on deciding what type of business I want to get into, moving on into the next stage of my life. I have a burning passion for cars that is indescribable with words. However, I see a major issue with the car businesses. A lot of them are scammy and charge people way more than actual value. I would feel very wrong morally doing that, so I would not like to do anything around the car selling field. Okay, sidebar. You can totally and absolutely be in the car business and world, even buying and selling cars, and being moral and straight. Trust me, you can do it. but you are right. There's a lot of crap out there. So anyway, he writes, I'm really interested in real estate. There are a lot of opportunities for me there and is not very time consuming, so I would have time to do things with cars. Now, if you're doing a lot, it is time consuming. I would like to know what you would do if you were in my situation. I don't want kind of jobs there are in racing business or related because that's just not a lot of them around. So I'd really appreciate to hear what kind of advice you would have for me. Thanks. I'm going to shorten this just a little bit. So his cars, he drives a 2007 Lincoln MKZ all-wheel drive. It's got like 50,000 miles on it. Sounds a really good car. He got a really good deal on it. He also gets to kick around, and his dad's got a 96 Corvette C4. It's completely stock, real nice car, low miles. And he's looking at buying a 1990 Mazda Miata. And he asked me, if I'm to buy this car, what would you do with this car? And what I mean by that is, if you were to buy the same car, one, what would you do to modify it to do, drift, race, or rally? Or would you keep it stock? Two, what would you do to get the most out of this car? You took your Corvette just about everywhere on the West Coast has to offer, and it really inspires me to do something unique with this car as well. Other than that, some other questions I have are, what do you do in your free time, and how did you get into cars? Thanks a lot, Casey. TJ. All right, let's go. How do I drive this thing? Come on. Yes. You got to push and hold the button like an old school car. Anyway, man, I really appreciate you writing. And we are in a beautiful environment out here in Nevada with this awesome yellow Ferrari 430. So let's have a little bit of fun. Anyway, let's start with some advice. So, you know, here's the thing, man. You've got an awesome YouTube channel. 91,000 subscribers? Seriously? That's really incredible. Now, the thing about that is, that could very easily distract you, okay? Because 91,000 subscribers is something you can genuinely do something with that has value in business. So you got to start figuring that out. Is that something you can maintain while you go to school? Or is that something you want to concentrate on now? What are you going to do with it? To what end? Is that something you can use to bolster you and your brand and where you're going? Or is it something that maybe won't work with your future business directions? These are all things you got to think about. So I really want you to give that consideration to that. You know, it's exciting to get a lot of attention. It's exciting to get some notoriety. But don't let that make you take your eye off the ball. You know what I'm saying? In terms of school, if you're going to invest the time and money to go to college or any higher education, you have to know one thing. What jobs and career will you get after that? The notion of going to college and going in debt or spending your family's money, your hard-earned money for years just to go live like a poor college student and not get a job is insane. Why would you do that? Like, don't do that. So whatever it is that you're going to do, know that that investment is going to pan out for you in your career in the future. And if you find that it's not going to at any time, then you need to weigh whether you get out, stay in, or go, okay? That's just sound advice across the board. You know, if you want to spend $50,000 or $100,000 in 4+ years of your life to go to college just to feel good that you went to college and not be able to get a job, then, you know, we should have a separate talk. So let's move on from that. You asked me about your Miata. Here's the thing. If I had a Miata, I would barely modify it at all. And here's why. You're not going to get your money back. Almost any amount of money that you put into a Miata, you are literally spending for the pleasure of modifying a little car that really isn't going to be worth that much. So look at your resources. How much does the car cost? What can you buy it for? What is it worth on the market at any given time? What time and money do you have to put into it, and what will it be worth after that? So to answer your question, I personally would not, I definitely wouldn't modify a Miata to drift. They don't make much power. And you're gonna have to stress it out to make much power and stress everything out to do it. You know, rally, yeah, road race, yeah. I'd rather take your dad's Corvette or, you know, something that is less expensive, but, you know, just got something that'll go a little faster. Yeah, Miatas are nice cars, but don't get me wrong, it's all about resources. And you're a smart guy, so you're gonna have a lot of other cars in the future and probably some really cool ones. Maybe you'll have something like this Ferrari. So that's it, man. Just think about your resources, because it's hard to make money, especially when you're working with your own two hands and time and labor and all that. It's hard to make money. It is easy to lose it. You know how they say a fool and his money is easily parted? So going beyond that, I think you had asked me, and let me make sure I'm getting this right. what do I do in my free time, and how did I get into cars? Well, I don't really have any free time, man. I just don't. You know, 5+ years ago I did, before I started Genius Garage, but that's taken virtually my entire life. But that's been okay for that time. I didn't mind giving up my social life and my personal life and my free time because I cared about it. It mattered and I enjoyed it. So tell you what, let's stomp on this Ferrari. That'll be fun for a second. This is what I enjoy doing in my free time. 8,000 RPMs in a Ferrari. Anyway, I'm starting to get a little more free time. Genius Garage has been really super worth it, but I do miss it. Before I started Genius Garage, I really enjoyed driving motorcycles. Love Ducati, love MV Agusta. Some of the Japanese bikes, especially old cafe racers, I'm pretty into. Other than that, I enjoy spending time with my wife. You know, going places. We'll even drive a convertible and see how many bunnies we can spot. Yeah, I know maybe that sounds really lame and cutesy, but it's fun. Beyond that, I grow bonsai trees occasionally. I've got a pet veiled chameleon named Charlie MacGyver and a hamster named Dorian Gray that we adopted. And some freshwater fish with natural plants that are really enjoyable. But I'm looking forward. I want to build a new motorcycle here soon. I think I'm going to do a old school, you know, Ducati Twin from the early 70s kind of build. The original ones are too expensive nowadays, so I think it'd be fun to do that. But TJ, I really appreciate you writing. Lots of kudos to you about the YouTube channel. That's not easy to do. But just remember with school, it's an investment. You don't have to go to school to become somebody. You're already somebody. You go to school to learn because it'll get you a job or help you with your career. And if school is not going to do those things for you, then I asked you, why are you there? Okay? So think about your future, and whether it's school, a Mazda Miata, a race car, a Ferrari, or your free time. Think about what resources you got to put into it, time and money and anything else, and what you're going to get out. Always make good decisions, man. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoy reading your questions and going for a drive. Maybe you'll subscribe, and I think I'll see you next time.